Hi, John with eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at the Roadmaster tow bar wiring on our 2019 GMC Canyon. So why tow bar wiring? Well, for one, it's going to give you a super clean look on your truck while still transmitting the signals from your RV to the back here to let people know your intentions out there on the road. If you have your running lights on, your running lights are going to be on your truck. If you have your stop lights and turn signals on your RV, same thing's going to be on the truck. Now, we have a few different kits. If you already have a 7-way to 6-way adapter and you don't need one, we have just the diode set by itself with everything you need to install diode wiring on your GMC. Now, if you need a coiled plug like this, we have two different types. We have a coiled type like this, we have a hybrid, and we also just have a straight. We actually do have a third. We have a straight that's designed to go inside like the Roadmaster tow bar like this, where it's just straight through, just keeps the install nice and clean. The wiring actually runs inside the channel along with the safety chains and keeps everything off the ground. So if you're interested in towing your GMC Canyon, there's 5 main components that you're really going to need to get you set up and ready to hit the road. Number one, the base plate. This is going to be the actual physical connection on your GMC that allows it to be linked up in the first place. Secondly, you're going to need diode wiring or tow bar wiring. This is going to transmit all the signals from your RV to your GMC Canyon, so when you hit the brakes, the lights on your Canyon light up. Blinkers, same thing. Third, you're going to need a supplemental braking system. This is going to keep you safe and legal when you're out there on the highways. Fourth, you're going to need the tow bar itself. Now, this is going to be the physical connection between your RV and your GMC, and this just allows you to hook up and go down the road. And fifth, this tow bar comes with its safety cables. Now, in the event of a catastrophic failure of some component on your RV or on your GMC, these safety cables are designed to keep your car safely behind the RV for you to be able to get pulled over. So diode wiring at this point, if it's not industry standard, it should be. Today's electronics are super sensitive. You need to have diode wiring, and you don't want to put magnetic lights on the back, especially if you're hauling RVs for a living out of Indiana or something like that. A lot of companies won't even allow you to haul their stuff with magnetic lights, so you're going to need diode wiring. The install on these isn't too bad, especially if you're doing the base plate at the same time. You have plenty of room to work. On these pickups, the taillights come off easy. So we can show you step by step how we installed it on this. Stick around. So to begin our diode wiring install, there's a little bit of planning involved. Normally on flat tows, when we run the wiring, we normally run it up into the engine compartment over by the battery. But on this particular model, we have a large gap over the antifreeze surge tank, and we're going to be installing our braking system underneath there. So for us, it's more important to run the diode wiring close to our braking system so we can tie into it. So we are going to be using the Demco Stay and Play on this particular model. So if you're interested in that, we will be shooting a video on the install. So this will connect from your RV to a 6-way plug, and this is actually what we're wiring up. But this will be at a later step. So I'm going to be running the tow bar wiring basically on top of the base plate here, and we're going to run it over and up into the engine compartment. So we'll just run this up along the tow bar. We're going to feed this into the engine compartment. Now, once we're up here in the engine compartment, we want to leave just like a loop of wire like this for once we get the braking system installed. This will just give us enough wire. You'll never want to be short when you're wiring systems up. So I'm going to take some cutters, and I'm going to cut the white line, which is our ground on our tow bar wiring. And we'll strip this back, and we'll use this on the back side of the truck when we connect the running lights. So we really only have to run the 3 colors back to the back of the truck. Now with the white wire stripped, we can route this And we're going to go route this underneath the vehicle and along the frame. And our destination is going to be the passenger side tail light at the back of the truck. So we're under the right side front passenger tire, and we brought the wire down from the engine compartment. I was able to go directly in the frame. And I ran this all the way back. I ran some of this nylon tubing. If you have fish tape or something that's fairly rigid, this frame has enough openings in it that you can just get to one point and work your way all the way down the frame, which is what I did. And I even worked up and over the wheel well. And we exited after the rear tire on the passenger side here. So I just went above the frame rail here, and we're going to be going up to the tail light. But before we do, we're going to separate some of these wires here. So the color codes are going to be green is going to be our passenger side stop and turn. Yellow is going to be our driver's side stop and turn. And the brown is our marker lights. So we'll have to share the brown with both sides. But at least for the passenger side right now, I'm going to separate the green, and we're going to run the green and the brown up to the top. I'll use the same nylon tubing that I've been using and just fish the wire up through the tail light housing. Now we're at the back of the truck, and I've turned on the tail lights and the right turn signal so that we can pin this out and figure out which wire does what. I've got a test light. I have it attached to ground, and our test light will light up. So it's not blinking. The orange is going to be our tail light circuit. The black's going to be ground in this instance, and then the gray is flashing. That's going to be our turn and brake signal circuit for us. Now you're going to want to pin that out on both sides, and to get the tail lights off on the driver's side, we left them on, but at a T15 Torx bit, we can go ahead and come inside the tailgate, and we're going to have two of them. Now to remove these, they need to come straight back, and it might take some work to do it. Just want to be careful and take your time. And just give the bulbs a twist. This is also how if you have a burned out bulb back here, this is how you change the bulbs. There's a clamp right there. Now over on the driver's side, and notice we have the same color scheme, and as I suspected, it is the same. It's going to be the same. So on the driver's side, your tail light will be orange, and the gray is going to be your brakes and turn signals. Now when you get your diodes, you're going to see we have four of them, and one of them is oddball. It's basically two diodes per side, two for the driver's side and then two for the passenger side. The only difference, all the diodes are the same, the only difference is this one connector is designed to double up wires. It's just a little bit bigger on the inside, and so in this instance we would be taking the marker light, the tail marker light, and we'll double the connection up and put it in there like that, and then this side gets run over to the driver's side because this signal is duplicated on both sides. So whatever side that you ran your wires to, then the diode with the larger connector will be on that side. So we're going to use this diode for the taillights We use this one for the brake lights and turn signals. Let's wire up our tail light circuit on the passenger side here. This is going to start with the brown wire. This is the wire that's coming from the front of the truck that we ran underneath in the frame. Now, we'll take the white wire that we trimmed up in the engine bay and then stripped back. This is why we did it, because this kit almost doesn't have enough wire. So we're going to take some of this and strip this back, and we'll connect this with our brown wire here. And then we'll take the yellow connector from our diode. Crimp this up. Okay. Now we know that the orange is going to be our tail light circuit on this truck, so snip that. And then on our diode here, you'll see that we have an in and an out. The in is going to be coming from the vehicle. The out is going to go out to the bulb. So when we connect it up, we'll have to watch for that. In the meantime, okay, then we can make our connections. The ins, the out. So this would be the tail light circuit completed. Now we'll do basically the same thing for our brake and turns, except we're not going to be doubling any of the wires up. We'll wire this up right now. Okay, now with our brake and turn circuit completed here, we'll take the white wire and run this down. We'll run that down. So we can bring the white wire down, and we'll be able to run this across, of course, up the frame and then up to that side. There's enough wire here for you to run the tail lights, and then obviously the stop and turn for the driver's side isn't long enough, so you could use that as well. We're not going to do it just because it gets a little confusing on camera when we have two of the same color wire. So if you have enough, that's great. If you need more wire, we have some here. Just check our website. Connect our driver's side turn and brake circuit. Yeah, we're going to use heat shrink butt connectors on this. These are not included with your kit. It does have some butt connectors with the kit, but they're not heat shrink, especially being outside under the truck. It's a good idea to use heat shrink terminal kits like this. We'll take our heat source. So when you're running this wire across, you need to keep in mind that your spare tire is under here. This is going to turn. I'm going to be going above that and following this wire loom on the back side here. You can always come back later and zip tie this line up. So I've got the same piece of nylon tubing that I used to fish the wires through, and I'll do the same thing here. Okay, so we ran our wires up, and remember, it's the same thing as the other side. Just pretend this white wire is going to be the brown wire. That's our tail light. And the tail light goes to the orange wire And then our yellow is our stop and turn, and that goes to the gray wire. Just wire these up the same way you did on the other side. So this is what the driver's side looks up when it's wired up correctly. Remember, the outs on your diodes go to the bulb. And so we'll have our tail light circuit coming in from the front of the vehicle on our tow bar wiring, and this is going to be the turn and brake. So we've just got this cleaned up here and reassembled. The kit comes with zip ties and wire loom, so you can clean this up to your liking. Just reinstall your light. And replace the 2 torque screws back here, and then this side will be done. So back under the hood, this is the ground wire that we peeled off, and I stripped it because we're going to have multiple grounding connections under the hood. So temporarily I used some of the wire that we stripped back when we ran the taillights back, and I ran it over to the battery for now. Because in order for you to test your system and make sure that your diodes are working correctly, your lights are working correctly, the system needs to be grounded. So I'm just going to twist these together right now. So later on, I'm going to be tying my braking system into this. This is why I just kind of temporarily twisted these wires together. If you're not going to be using a braking system, then you can just use a butt connector and tighten these up and then run your wires so that there's nothing loose or not going to be in contact with anything sharp, hot, or moving. So up at the front of the vehicle, we have our 4-way flat wiring. We're going to be hooking up our 6-way connector. Just a quick note, on this particular model of Canyon, it's kind of difficult to find a location for both the bracket for the 6-way connector and your breakaway switch. So we did take one of the mounting brackets that we have here available at eTrailer. I drilled out these aluminum rivet holes here, popped this off, and reinforced. I put a bracket behind this to reinforce it, and the same over here. And we drilled a hole in the bottom, and then I re-bolted everything down. So we have 6 bolts total, including new ones under here to support this license plate bracket. So it's going to be strong enough for both, plugging and unplugging the electrical connection and for the breakaway switch. This seems to work out pretty well. It's in line with everything. Your cables aren't going to get all tangled up, and when it's all said and done, we'll have it all wrapped up and looking pretty under here. Our 6-way connector will have a rubber boot on the back. We can pull that off, and that's going to expose the terminals that we're looking for. We're looking for TM, which is trailer marker. We're going to be looking for RT, right turn, LT, left turn, and G for ground. How that is going to equate to our wiring is white is ground, brown is trailer marker light, yellow is left turn, and green is right turn. We're going to be ignoring the stop on here. Your RV will light up the right turn and left turn as a stop signal. First thing I like to do is put the rubber boot on first before you connect anything up, so that way you won't get mad at yourself for forgetting to put it on. So we'll separate these wires here. And we'll start by wiring up the ground. We'll just take a short section off there. Locate the S terminal, or the ground terminal, and just tighten down the set screw on there. Now when you're doing this, you want to make sure that all of the wire goes inside and you don't have any stragglers on the outside out here that could touch and backfeed other circuits here. So we did that for the ground, and go ahead and repeat that for the trailer marker, the left turn, and the right turn. Now with all of our connections made on the back side of this, now's a good time to test the features, the left turn, right turn, tail markers, and stop lights. Now we're going to be using a test box today with our tow bar wiring. Obviously if you don't have a test box, just hook your connections up to your RV. With our test box hooked up, we can check the tail lights are working. We'll test left turn. We can test right turn and brakes. Now with everything working properly, we can mount the connector up and run the wire loom. And that was a look at the Roadmaster tow bar wiring on our 2019 GMC Canyon.